Asterisk, asterisk. The lie we've been sold about success. Why softness is your most powerful business strategy. Asterisk, asterisk. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something with you that came from a deeply transformative conversation I had with Tonya Reid, a visionary thinker, advocate, and cultural disruptor who is reshaping how Black professionals and entrepreneurs approach success, rest, and power. Tanya is doing revolutionary work, challenging the very foundation of what we've been taught about ambition, achievement, and what it means to thrive in spaces that were never designed for our wholeness. Their impact is rippling through industries, communities, and the hearts of Black women everywhere who are finally asking themselves, what if there's another way? What Tanya shared with me, what we unpacked together, is something I believe will fundamentally shift the way you see your career, your business, and your life. So let's dive in. We've been sold a story that says if you want to succeed, especially as a Black professional or entrepreneur, you have to grind harder than everyone else. You have to be twice as good to get half as far. You have to sacrifice sleep, boundaries, joy, and sometimes even your sanity just to prove you belong. And for so many of us, that story became our identity. We wore exhaustion like a badge of honor. We called it hustle. We called it ambition. We called it necessary. We called it survival. But here's what Tonya Reid helped me see, and what I need you to hear today. That story, that grind culture mentality, is not just unsustainable, it's a trap, it's a lie. And the soft girl era for Black professionals and entrepreneurs is not about being passive or, or less ambitious. It's actually a radical strategic move towards sustainable power. Let me say that again because I need you to feel this. Softness is not weakness. Softness is strategy. Tanya explained that we've been conditioned to believe that the constant hustle, the always on mentality, is the only path to success. But what if I told you that choosing ease, boundaries, and alignment can actually increase your revenue, your impact, and your leadership effectiveness? What if rest wasn't the opposite of productivity, but the foundation of it? What if emotional honesty and self trust weren't personality traits, but core business strategies that determine whether you build something that lasts or something that breaks you? For Black professionals, embracing softness is also a form of resistance. It's resistance against systems that have historically demanded our overwork and emotional suppression just to belong. When you choose softness, you're not opting out of success. You're redefining it. You're reclaiming it. You're taking back the power to decide what success looks like on your terms. So instead of seeing the soft girl era as a trend or an aesthetic, we're unpacking it as a framework for building businesses and careers that don't require self sacrifice as the entry fee. Let me share three key insights from my conversation with Tonya Reid that I want you to hold on to write down, to carry with you as you navigate your own soft girl era. First, softness is a strategy, not a weakness. Your ability to rest, to regulate your emotions, to honor your boundaries directly affects your clarity, your creativity, and your leadership capacity. Building a business or career from a place of wholeness is more sustainable and more profitable than building from exhaustion and survival mode. When you're operating from rest, you make better decisions. When you're emotionally regulated, you lead with more impact. When you honor your boundaries, you protect the energy that fuels your vision. This isn't soft in the way the world has taught you to fear softness. This is soft in the way water is soft, and yet water carves canyons through stone. Second, you are allowed to redefine success on your own terms. As Black professionals and entrepreneurs, you do not have to mirror traditional, hypermasculine, or grind obsessed models of success to be taken seriously. You can center joy, community, mental health, and spiritual alignment in your definition of success and still be a high achiever and industry leader. You can build wealth without burnout. You can lead with softness and still command respect. You can say no without guilt and still be seen as ambitious. You can choose yourself and still be powerful. Third, systems change when Black professionals model new ways of working. When you embrace soft girl era principles like emotional intelligence, rest, collaboration over competition, and human centered leadership, you're not just changing your life, you're quietly reshaping workplace culture, entrepreneurial ecosystems, and what professionalism looks like for the next generation. You're giving permission to the women coming behind you to choose themselves too. You're breaking generational cycles. You're creating new blueprints. Now, let me show you what this looks like in real life. Because theory is beautiful, but application is where transformation happens. Let's talk about Dr. Thema Bryant. Dr. Thema is a Black woman psychologist, ordained minister, and former president of the American Psychological Association. Her work centers trauma healing, mental health, and holistic well being, especially for Black communities, while maintaining a high impact professional and leadership profile. She navigated predominantly white academic and clinical spaces where traditional success is often measured by productivity, publications, and prestige rather than healing and wholeness. She faced the challenge of addressing the disproportionate mental health burdens and trauma experienced by Black communities while confronting stigma around therapy and emotional vulnerability. And she had to balance multiple roles: clinician, scholar, spiritual leader, organizational president without succumbing to burnout or replicating grind culture norms. So, what did she do? She centered healing, rest, and spiritual integration as non negotiable pillars of her work rather than optional add ons. She spoke openly about trauma, racism, and mental health in ways that made emotional vulnerability and self care accessible and normalized for Black audiences. And she used her leadership platform at the American Psychological Association to emphasize holistic approaches to mental health that consider systemic oppression and community resilience, not just individual pathology. The outcome? She elevated national and global conversations about mental health that affirm Black experiences and the importance of healing centered approaches. She increased the visibility of Black women leadership in one of the most influential mental health organizations in the world. And she modeled a leadership style that is deeply soft yet powerful, rooted in empathy, care, and emotional intelligence, while maintaining professional excellence and authority. Dr. Thema's journey shows us that success can be anchored in healing, rest, and authenticity rather than relentless grind, particularly for Black professionals and entrepreneurs in high pressure fields. She demonstrates that soft skills like empathy, emotional insight, and spiritual grounding are powerful tools for influence and change. She didn't just climb the ladder, she rebuilt it. Now let's talk about Rachel Rogers. Rachel is a Black woman attorney turned entrepreneur, founder of Hello 7, and author of We Should All Be Millionaires. She teaches women, particularly women of color, how to build wealth without sacrificing their mental health and personal lives, explicitly challenging grind culture and traditional notions of professionalism. As a Black woman in law and entrepreneurship, Rachel faced bias, underestimation, and the expectation to overwork to be viewed as legitimate and professional. She worked with clients who internalized scarcity, overwork, and self sacrifice as the only path to wealth. And she had to transform her own business model from one rooted in constant hustle to one based on scalability, boundaries, and ease. So, what did she do? She explicitly taught clients to reject grind culture and embrace business models that prioritize rest, boundaries, and aligned offers. She structured Hello 7 as a company that values flexibility, remote work, and mental well being for both team and clients. And she incorporated coaching around mindset, self worth, and emotional regulation as core components of wealth building, not optional extras. The outcome: thousands of women, including many Black women entrepreneurs, have grown their businesses and income while simultaneously reducing burnout and reclaiming time for family, rest, and joy. Hello 7 became a multi-million-dollar company that visibly models an ease based approach to business, directly contradicting the idea that success must be punishing. Rachel's work has shifted conversations around wealth creation for women of color from survival and exhaustion towards soft power, boundaries, and self trust. Rachel's work shows Black women entrepreneurs that wealth and softness are compatible. Her model illustrates that embracing soft girl era values, rest, boundaries, emotional honesty, can lead not only to healthier lives, but also to significant financial and business growth. She didn't just make money, she made a movement. And finally, let's talk about therapy for Black girls. This is a mental health platform and podcast founded by Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, a Black woman psychologist. The brand centers the emotional well being of Black women and girls, blending professional expertise with warmth, relatability, and accessible care. Dr. Joy recognized the massive unmet mental health needs among Black women and girls, compounded by stigma, lack of culturally competent providers, and systemic barriers. Traditional mental health resources often felt cold, clinical, or inaccessible, especially to Black women balancing professional and entrepreneurial roles. And she had to build a platform that was both sustainable as a business and deeply centered on care, softness, and emotional support. So, what did she do? She created a warm, culturally grounded brand that centers softness, inviting Black women into conversations about therapy, self care, and emotional healing without shame. She launched a podcast and resource hub that uses approachable language, storytelling, and community building to make mental health support feel safe and relatable. And she built a therapist directory and community resources that connect Black women to culturally competent providers, lowering barriers to care. The outcome? Therapy for Black girls has become one of the most recognized mental health platforms for Black women, with a widely listened to podcast and strong online presence. More Black women have been able to locate therapists who understand their cultural context, improving access to gentle, affirming care. And the brand demonstrates that businesses built around softness, care, and emotional support can be both impactful and scalable. Therapy for Black girls shows that aligning a business with emotional softness, community care, and cultural affirmation can create both social impact and brand strength. For Black professionals and entrepreneurs, it exemplifies how centering softness in the business model itself can transform an industry and empower a community. Dr. Joy didn't just build a business, she built a sanctuary. So, what do all of these stories have in common? They show us that softness is not a retreat from ambition, it's a recalibration of power. It's a refusal to let systems that were never designed for our wholeness dictate how we show up, how we lead, and how we succeed. And here's what I need you to understand: this isn't just about individual healing, this is about collective liberation. When you choose softness, when you set boundaries, when you rest without apology, you are not just saving yourself. You are showing every Black woman watching you that there is another way. You are dismantling the lie that we have to break ourselves to be valuable. You are rewriting the rules. So here's my challenge to you. If you stopped building your career or business from survival mode and started building it from softness, rest, emotional honesty, and self trust, what would you do differently this week? I want you to choose one concrete shift you will make in the next 7 days that reflects your own soft girl era in your professional or entrepreneurial life. That might be saying no to one misaligned opportunity. It might be scheduling protected time for rest or reflection. It might be having an emotionally honest conversation with a client, colleague, or partner about your needs and boundaries. Write it down, commit to it, and notice how that one act of softness impacts your clarity, your energy, and your results. Because here's the truth: you are not required to grind yourself into the ground to be successful. You are not required to sacrifice your peace to be taken seriously. You are not required to wear exhaustion like armor to prove your worth. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to redefine success on your own terms. And when you do, you don't just change your life, you change the culture, you change the narrative. You change what's possible for every woman who comes after you. This is your soft girl era. And it's not a trend, it's a revolution. It's a reclamation, it's a reckoning. The world told you that softness was weakness. I'm telling you that softness is your superpower. The world told you that rest was lazy. I'm telling you that rest is revolutionary. The world told you to keep grinding. I'm telling you to start living. So, what will you choose? Will you keep building from burnout, or will you finally, courageously, unapologetically build from softness? The choice is yours. But know this: when you choose softness, you don't just save yourself, you set us all free.